Hi, everybody. Welcome to another fantastic episode, I might add, of Married at First Sight. We are winding down. This is season 18, episode 16. Today, my guest, the truth teller, is back. It is Wendy. Hi, Wendy. How are you?
I am so excited to be here. I wanted to be here last week, but it's okay. I'll take this week as well. I'm okay with this week.
I'm excited that you are here for this episode because there's a lot to comment on. But let's take care of some housekeeping first. You guys know that there are bonus episodes on Patreon. Just want to let you know that Love is Blind season 8 has started. Wendy, are you watching?
I honestly, Tane, I tried to watch, and first of all, I couldn't differentiate all the men from each other. They all look similar or the same to me, and it's incredibly boring. I don't
Okay.
know. Maybe I'll skip the pod. I listened to your recap though, so I think that's
Yeah.
enough for me. And I think you had episodes 1 through 6.
6, yeah. That was
Yeah,
the first drop
yeah.
that came out. Yeah, I saw that a lot. I didn't realize that a lot of people were going to follow through on, they were just like, Love is Blind has gone to trash and they're done and they're not going to watch. And then for some, seeing what the cast was like, the same complaint, they're all the same. They need a descriptor. They're like, oh, this is the route we chose during Black History Month. Okay. So,
If it was messy, I'd watch, but it's boring. Everyone looks the same, so it's just hard to follow.
I'm okay with it. Like I said on the pod, it's just like the thing is, I always hesitate to use the word boring. I think more of bland. I'm just like, there's no personality, and I don't
Yeah,
know if bland means boring, but in my head it doesn't. But there's
yeah.
nobody that's standing out as like, oh, this is a personality, or this is a star, or this is someone. It's just, and then the best we can come up with is, I saw your Christmas picture. You followed me on Instagram. Like,
Yeah,
it's so juvenile. Like, I don't know what to
yeah.
say,
And then
but
people are not even falling in love. Like there's nothing that's like, oh my god, they're so cute. Like I like their story. So it's nothing. You're right. It's bland.
yeah.
It's not messy, and it's not like it doesn't provoke any emotions. At least for me. So it's
I
just
mean,
meh.
there's still time for messiness to happen. I do see that there's something going on, but I am avoiding spoilers like a minefield, so I haven't seen anything there. But I digress. The point is, the recap is up. We are going to be doing it all season. I had 8 guests for the first. That is on the regular feed. But the rest of the episodes I will be covering with Nana, and it's going to be on Patreon. And let us hope for the best. I mean, the first episode already showed us having 2 brides running away, so no hope there. But the other thing I do want to share with the Patreon community, like we just started like a chat, and we have like a chat for the MAFS episodes. It's a safe space if you want to talk about it. So it's been fun so far with the conversations, talking about Michelle. We're split between, does Michelle deserve this? Is Michelle, was she right about David this whole time and all that? So we talk about everything, show recommendations, whatever you want me to cover. So when you join the Patreon, come join the community and join the chats as well. Still appreciate the comments, the emails, the DMs, though. So just another way for you to get that out there. Do not have an update on past cast participants, but the one that I did see this week is that Michael from the Denver season seems to have a new girlfriend. He didn't actually hard lunch or whatever. It was like a repost of a Valentine's Day gift or something. So I guess he has a new boo. So congratulations to Michael. And this is Michael of Michael and Chloe, just in case anybody's trying to remember who he is. Okay, getting that out the way. Like I asked Lola last week, give me one word to describe this episode.
Delulu, Delulu, delusional.
I'm assuming we're talking about this new couple that just discovered they had feelings for each other.
Like what? Delusional. Everyone is. In fact, you know what? Even one is delusional as well because there's a scene where he's like, "We're the only 2 couples left." Couple where?
In the
Where
house, Wendy, in the house.
is couple with us in the room? But yeah, delusional primarily because of the new couple, David and Madison. Yeah.
I think the worst thing about them is that they don't know how to lie. Like, if you're gonna do this, you might as well confess because everyone already thinks the worst of you. But then when you think that you still have to save face or say whatever and you're lying, then on top of thinking the worst of you, now we even think even worse of you because you're lying to us and you're insulting our intelligence. So it's so painful to watch
Painful.
them, lie and talk. And this episode made me realize that I really hate the way David communicates. I'm not on Michelle's side, but I can feel what maybe she felt on the wedding day. Like, he never just answers a question like, hey, how are you? I'm fine, thank you. And you? David is going to tell you, I am good. Today is my day off. I'm usually off one day after the other. I got laid off 10 years ago. And then, oh my God. Like, it's just always a lot with
Yeah.
David. So when you add that up with the lying, it's,
Yeah. And he never sits upright.
yeah, he's
He's
always
always like
relaxed.
slouched in the couch. Like, ugh, I don't know, man. David just has bomb energy. Like,
So we started with the episode. They are still at the retreat. How many weeks have they been here now? 4, 3 episodes. Every time I see the drone view of the house, I'm like, oh
yeah,
God, we're still here.
the content was contenting.
So we're still there, and Michelle has gone to confront Madison. That's how it ended. Like, do you have anything to say? And Madison is still like trying to ask her, like, can you chill? Like, I don't have time for this. And Michelle is like, no, I can't. I'm mad. And Madison is like, well, I like David. And David yells across the room, and I like her too. Several seats, sir. Nobody asked you, clown, to join the circus.
Clown. Oh, I was just so annoyed even by the sweater and the thing he was wearing. He just looked annoying and like a bum. Like, and his hair up in that man bun or whatever it was. I was just, yeah, I'm with Michelle. I was annoyed too.
So Michelle asked Madison, like, oh, you need him to protect you? And she's like, no, I don't need him to protect me. She says the connection and the attraction is there. They have not explored it, but she just told him today that she has feelings for him. And she didn't know that the text was meant for her. She just found out. David chimes in again and said she hasn't done anything wrong. She really didn't know. And Michelle was like, listen, I'm done. And then she walks away. And that's warranted. Like, if you hear David's voice one more time after we've been like, go, first of all, when two people are having a conversation, why are you at the door? Just poking and chiming in and everything. She's done talking to you. Let them have the conversation. We get it. You want to be protecting my woman and all that stuff, but let them be.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Can we unpack this I didn't know this text message was for me thing? Do you think that after he accidentally sent the message to Michelle, he knew that he accidentally sent her the message and then immediately like maybe resent it to Madison, or like they
No.
talked about it, or like what do you think she means by I didn't know that the text was for me?
Because they've been talking about it. And she's been saying like, oh, I don't know who that, actually now you made me think. Because if they've been doing something,
Yeah.
and the text wasn't meant for Michelle, obviously, and
Yeah.
they're in a thing, she's gonna be like, sir, who did you send it to? When
Yeah.
it was supposed to be, because she knew about it. So
Yeah.
you're right. The whole time I was thinking like she didn't know, but if Michelle has been talking about it and they've been meeting up, it's very
Exactly.
difficult for you not to have gone to him and been like, oh, this text message she's talking about, who was it? Oh, okay, Wendy, I didn't think
Exactly.
about that.
Yes.
Oh, that's
Like that
true.
is just another bold-faced lie. You knew
It
the
is.
text was for you.
Yeah. Either that or he was creeping with another woman and you're okay with it. But it had to have come up between them is your point, right? Like she had to have been
Yes.
like, who? Well,
Yes.
oh, yeah.
Especially like to cover up tracks and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
They've talked about it.
Yeah.
So you knew it was for you.
Yes. Well, she's choosing her words carefully. He was like, I didn't know it was meant to be for me. I don't even know if that changes anything, but yeah, that's true. This is just terrible.
Yes.
When Michelle says she's done, you would think that since you've been chiming in, he's gonna come in and then go meet Madison because nobody invited you. But he stayed in his room and he starts drinking his beer. And as I'm watching David chug his beer from the bottle in his SpongeBob shorts, his oversized hoodie, I'm like, everybody at this point is wondering, what does Madison see in David? Because she said Alan dresses terribly, so there's nothing worse than this. Like, he just looks disheveled, like just scattered and not unkempt. Is that the word? Maybe that's the
Yes.
word I'm looking for. He
Yes.
looks like how he sits on a couch. No effort.
Yes.
No effort, not interested, lazy, like just I'm not saying he's lazy. I'm saying that his dressing just
Like
looks
bleh.
like that. And
Yeah.
then later on when we see stuff and we see that the SpongeBob shorts that he's wearing is the same one that he was wearing to the gym on the honeymoon. It's just gross. Why are your gym shorts your regular? I don't know. That's just me. I just keep your articles
No.
of clothing
I've
separately.
honestly, like, I've thought about this in so many different ways. And the best that I could come up with is, you know how she is very self-absorbed?
Mm-hmm.
Because remember in the early episodes where she would always talk about how she's so attractive and blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think David feeds into that because, all he needed was a blonde woman with blue
Mm-hmm.
eyes. So I think he feeds her ego. He praises her. He does all those things for her. But my thing is, Alan also did that. So, like, I just don't know what Madison finds attractive about David.
We're gonna find out because Kevin has to ask them. So if they're still together, if you guys are still together or when you guys got together, what are the things that you liked about David? Because again, jumping ahead, I do think that the experts or Pascal asked a good question. Is this just bonding? I hesitate to even say trauma bonding because I always hear Aid's voice in my head
Yes, me too.
correcting me that trauma bonding
Yes.
is not just
Yes.
bonding on the trauma. So
Yeah.
are you just connecting on the fact that you were miserable in your marriages, or is there something more? And I think it hadn't even occurred to her because she's like, oh, that's unfortunate. I don't
Yeah.
think that, and all that stuff. But it will be interesting to find out. Surely it can't just be because he goes to the gym. Like, hopefully
It
there's
might it
something
might be
more.
that. Tame. I
So,
think it might be her seeing him going to the gym and, like, maybe his history with fitness as well.
okay,
Because
well,
he and they're both, honestly, they're both surface level people. They have no emotional depth. Their emotional depth is like that of a fish. Like, I think all they connect on is surface level stuff. She likes that he's into fitness. He likes that she's blonde, and it's just a perfect toxic match.
well, at this point, I feel like every week I add a question that I hope is asked at the reunion, and that means that subconsciously I am making my expectations too high, and I don't want to be disappointed. So let me
Yeah.
just let me just let it be. Okay, so Emem goes to check on Michelle and she tells Emem that she is pissed off and Emem gives her a hug. And Emem is like, this is the reaction that I was looking for. I don't know when this was shot. Maybe it was shot earlier. I don't know. But Emem is like, I am stunned that David and Madison have been creeping like TLC. And the fact that Michelle had no proof and it was gut instinct and the fact that it was true is so mind blowing. And I have a question for you, Wendy.
Hmm.
Whose situation would you rather have? Would you rather have Michelle's situation with a trifling man who is cheating with your coworker friend, or
Hmm.
MM's situation with a motherfucking trifling man who is trying to bring you down and say things to me? Which one would you? Neither is ideal, but you have to pick one.
Yes.
Which one would you prefer to be in?
Give me Michelle, please. Give me Michelle, because it seemed like MM was emotionally, like, invested, and then, like, the things that Ikechi was accusing her of, like, this isn't just reality TV stuff. Like, it was a bit much, like
Mm-hmm.
the essay stuff that he was accusing her. So, like, that's a bit serious. Michelle honestly is unserious. She doesn't really like David. Her ego just took a hit. And that's why she's really upset. I think I've said this a couple of times that I think if he was cheating with some random person outside of their circle, I don't know that she'll be this upset. I think she's just
Mm,
upset at the fact that, like, this low life bum. Honestly, I think that's what Michelle is thinking in her head.
yeah,
Like, I can't believe this low life bum is like cheating on me and like with someone in our group, like in our circle, nonetheless. So I'll take Michelle's scenario
situation.
over MM. How about you?
Yeah, it'll be Michelle. Because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, Michelle really doesn't care. And you can
Yeah.
tell, like, it's just her, like I've said before, her personality and the situation. Because three
Yeah.
times I want to say she kept going, "Are you lying? Are you lying? Now I care. Who did you send the text to?"
Yeah.
When they told Alan and they didn't tell her, and she came to him and was like, "So do you have something to tell me?" And then when she actually went to Madison's door and knocked on it and it was like, "So do you want to tell me something?" I'm
Yeah.
just like, I don't understand that. I always say this. There's certain things that are normal human behavior, like, oh, running into an ex and you don't want to say whatever. But my pride will always supersede everything else. I am
Yeah.
not going to knock on the door of the side chick or the cheater to be like,
Yeah.
do you want to tell why?
Yeah.
I will act as unbothered as possible, even if I'm dying inside out of curiosity. So
Yeah.
it's that thing about Michelle, like she just wants to be right. And if you
Yeah.
flip it, oh my God, I can see her in a relationship and it just feels like a nightmare. Hopefully she's grown according to After Party, but
Yeah.
he is not going to. Who are you talking to? Where are you going
Yeah.
to? What time are you coming in? Because
Yeah.
if she's doing this for someone she doesn't care about, what
Yeah.
is she going to do for someone that she.
Actually think that she was able to accomplish all these things because she wasn't that emotionally vested. If
Mm,
you are that except she's really crazy. If you're that if you're that emotionally like vested in something, I don't think you'll be able to put your emotions aside and like not crash out. Like Alan crashed out. Like Alan couldn't even bear
be in
the
the
thought
same,
of,
yeah.
yeah, because he was emotionally vested. Michelle was just investigating. She was doing investigative work
Yeah.
because she wasn't emotionally vested. There is no way in hell that I would actually really like someone. I wouldn't even be able to put together the words and the follow-up questions. I probably would have just dragged Madison's hair and pushed her on the floor or something. Like, I don't think I'll be able to regulate my emotions.
Yeah, the first emotion will probably have been hurt. But for
Yeah.
her, she's so clear headed. She already has her step by step. She has put it in her project management tool, checked off, this is done. Tell Alan, get this girl, confirm they're lying. And then this was the next step on there because she was not invested in that. Um, So the ladies convene, and Michelle, and by the ladies, I mean Camille and MM. And Michelle says that, they were both dismissive. And then I realized, like, wait, I haven't seen Carla. And also, this whole trip, every time they're convening and talking about whatever it is, the text, Carla has not been involved as a group with the rest of
Yeah.
the ladies with that. Camille wonders, so where do we go from here? And Michelle says, well, hope she likes living in his parents' basement. And this is why I say this woman is obsessive, because David is a lot of things. He's a liar. We don't know if he has money. Like, people speculate that he's broke. But the fact of the matter is that clearly Madison doesn't have an issue with it. So even if he has to move into her place, and then also, I still don't believe that that basement is where he's destined to be. Like, he can still get an apartment. Michelle probably has to co-sign for it, but still, he can still get an apartment. So she had to do her digs because Michelle cannot. I meant Madison has to co-sign for it, but Michelle cannot go without a dig. She really hates David.
I mean, she ate that though. I cackled. I was like, oh my god, she is so petty.
Because at this
She ate.
point, well, we don't know anything about the relationship. I was about to say we don't know that Madison has seen this apartment because it's so gross. Like, it's so cluttered. I hate clutter. So that's
Yeah.
my first thing about it. I don't care how clean it is. There's just like a lot of stuff in a small space. So I was just thinking, like, so if they ever have to hook up, it will always be in Madison's apartment, or I don't
Tane.
know.
Madison has the emotional depth of a fish. She doesn't care about all this stuff. Like her and David give me like bro vibes, like bro energy. Like we go out, we drink, we do all these
Really?
things. And like that's what his setup currently is like too in his parents' basement. He's
Yeah.
living like he's in a frat house. I don't even think they really connected on all these things. Like I don't think these things mean anything to her.
Would you still feel this way if by the reunion they are still together? Which, to my knowledge, the reunion is like a year later because this season came out later.
So
This is still time.
if
Mm-hmm.
they're still together by the reunion, I feel like they're probably just doing it to save face and they will still break up. That's how I feel.
Wendy, if they get married, even if this show is not on air anymore, I'm getting you on here to eat your words. I'm really like, Wendy, eat crow. Did they stay together?
If they stay together, then their relationship, they fit each other then. Like it's just superficial stuff. And like it is what it is. And people like Alan are too much for it. You never even know. Maybe Alan was low key making her feel insecure because he has his shit all together.
Mm. Ooh, you just made me think of something. If everything we hear about David is true, is
Mm-hmm.
Madison one of those people who feels better
Mm-hmm.
with someone they think
Mm-hmm.
they are better than?
Mm-hmm.
You all right?
Yes.
You all right, Wendy?
That is what I think.
And
That
so,
low key, Alan was probably too sophisticated or whatever for her. Like, and she needs somebody like a
okay, hold
David.
up, hold up. I would
Okay,
not call Alan sophisticated.
for her,
I,
like maybe a little bit more put together for
he has his
her.
shit together. Like he has
Yes,
his own home. He built his own
yes,
kitchen. He's
yeah,
confident. Like whether you think I'm weird, whether you think I'm whatever, I am my own person, and I'm
yes,
all okay. Okay, I'm with you.
yes, yeah. So maybe not sophisticated, but like just put together. Maybe
Okay.
too put together for her. And like the way she's described herself, that is who she's supposed to be in the
Yeah.
relationship. Like she's supposed to be the Beyonce of the relationship. Like she can't
Yeah.
let anyone else be the Beyonce. And
Yeah.
I think maybe Alan was coming with the Beyonce energy and she's like, uh-uh. There's only one Beyonce in this group and that's me. So she went and found herself a David who is not the
Mm.
Beyonce, so that she can still continue to be that person. And he gives her all of that. Not only does he give her all of that, if they go out, because she needs like validation from the external public as well. So when they go out in public as well, I'm pretty sure everyone thinks she's the catch when they see them together.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the name of our episode today, Podcast Psychology. Thank you.
Armchair psychology.
We are in a podcast, not an armchair, so that's our podcast psychology for today.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. And then Michelle says that she doesn't want to be around them, and they're texting so damn fine. Can't wait to eat you. Well, did you eat her?
Shit, I'd like to know too, Michelle.
And then she's like, where are they even doing this? And they portrayed themselves as if they were friends. And, she doesn't, that this is just all too much for her. So Michelle is looking for the next thing to fixate on. And Camille asks, what hurt you the most about this? I think I might have clapped, snapped my fingers, because I'm like, you know what? Yes. What hurt you specifically about this? And I was disappointed. I don't think she answered the question. She's just like, I hate to do this, but I'm more hurt by her than him because he's been lying to my face for a long time. And she didn't even apologize, but she knew about this and, they're a waste of my time and they can fuck off. They're losers. And I'm like, Michelle, come back. What hurt you? That's all I want to know is what hurt you the most about this. I know what she's going to say. The thing they fed her. My parents broke up because of infidelity. You guys were going to break up anyway, so.
Yeah. Nothing hurt that lady.
Madison has a selfie cam and she's like, this is a big giant shit show. And I don't know where Alan is. I would like to talk to him. And even if it doesn't feel that way, she does care for him. Okay. And she feels awful. And then she starts crying. and hopes that he somewhat understands. Wendy, I need to give you an apology. I think the last time you were here, you mentioned that Madison cries a lot. And I was like, no, like I'm actually even surprised that I saw her cry. Since the day you said it, she has not stopped crying and I look like an idiot. I look like, so now, every time she cries, I see you and I hear you and I'm like, Wendy said
Yeah.
it. So I'm sorry. I missed that one. So Camille and Thomas are in bed. And I'm like, oh, these guys are so chill and so good. And she was like, last night was crazy. That's not how she said it. He's like, uh-huh. And she's glad that when all the craziness started, they got the ADT system. I didn't hear the rest of what she said. I was like, no, not this damn ADT. Because guys, last week, I said what I said where when Juan and Carla come on, I do kind of glaze over. I had no recollection. Wendy texted me and was like, oh my God, this ADT thing. I said, what are you talking about? I was like, do you mean a security system? I thought it was a new slang that I wasn't hip to. She's like, no, the security thing. I was like, I missed it. Did not miss this one. And I'm like, this is so embarrassing. This is so cringe. How did this come about? Because back then it used to be some jeweler or some ring or something. How did this ADT thing come about? And who cares that you kept safe and that you got it? It's a fucking Airbnb. You didn't get it. And then even if the craziness happened, the ADT was gonna tell Michelle and David to stop or like Madison. Like what?
I literally almost died when I saw the ADT placement again because I was like, is this their goal actually to get people just talking about this because of how bad it is? Like, was that the goal?
I'm not sure that's the goal, but this is what I want to know.
Or like this is a real thing where they think that we would actually go and purchase the ADT security thing because of what Camille and Thomas said. Like, they have to be kidding right now. Like, this has to be a bait.
What I want to know is whose idea was it? Who was the person that was like, you know what show would be a good fit? Married at First Sight. And then let's just have, because at some point I feel like they all had to have recorded. I mean, maybe not Michelle. Well, actually just both of them actually, because everybody else is kaput.
You know what? I would have told the producers, I'm sorry, I can't do this. This just feels stupid and fake. Like, what the hell? Like, like it was so ridiculous. It didn't even make sense.
Yeah, it's not
the two times that they did it. It didn't make sense. That's why I'm thinking this has to be like a bait. Like maybe their goal was to have people just laughing and talking about it.
Maybe, I mean, maybe like someone gets into a situation and we're like, oh, what security system should I use? Well, Married at First Sight, they said ADT. Let me Google and see what it is. I don't know. I'm just going out here.
Just so dumb and ridiculous and just misplaced.
Well, that happened. So they start talking about what happened the night before. They also don't believe the whole, this is the first time they're having the love confession. Camille wants to know how deep it went. I was like, that's what she said. We want to know how deep David went into Madison and if he also ate her. And she's like, it's giving physical. It's giving intimate. Like this doesn't sound like they just confessed their love. I don't even know. Thomas does not want to be part of this conversation. He just nods, reads his lines, and that was it. Get the Theragon. My knee hurts. Juan comes downstairs, and David is downstairs. He asks David if he wants to eat, if he wants coffee. David doesn't drink coffee and all of that. And again, I'm like, we've seen everyone. Where is Carla? I thought she left, but she hadn't. And also, Wendy, this is why I always advocate for their couples retreat. Get a chef, because now Alan's gone.
Yeah,
he's the person cooking for all of them.
Yeah,
now they have to figure out.
Is a couples retreat chef budget.
Okay, but you see, instead of ADT, this is where you get like the Blue Apron or the Green Home Chef or something. And you're like, you know what? We're not really good in the kitchen, and now that Alan's left, we can still get good meals because we have with easy instructions.
Hire Tane for the ad placements because clearly she gets it more than whoever did the ADT thing.
Oh man! So Juan asks him, "So what is your next step?" because whatever your next step is, you have to be tactful. That he doesn't think the problem is that they like each other, which is what he said before an after party. The problem is how they did it. David said, and then he says all the things that he could have done, and David was like, "Oh, it just sounds so right and easy when you say it." I'm like, "Huh?" So Juan says, well, you have to own up to it. Like, you have to give Alan time. You definitely have to reach out and apologize because he did trust you. Like, he trusted you so much. This is where Juan lost me. He said, the thing about Alan is someone that you need to have in your corner. He adds value and he's a go getter. I'm like, Juan, you cannot see everybody in a business type of way. And, why can we? I mean, we're Nigerians. We know our culture. People size you up like, okay, where do I place you? How can you help me? It's the
Yeah.
way that, I keep you there. So that kind of, took me a little off one because all through I'm like, good on one, not trying to be all pacifist and saying the niceties. He's
Yeah.
actually telling him the truth. So then
Yeah.
he's like, they've already started off on a bad note. And he was like, honestly, that he was being honest. That when he heard about this, he doesn't know if he wanted to be around people like this after this situation. And it was just disappointing. And then David is like, to be honest, you saying that makes me feel like I should take myself out the situation. And I'm like, I don't know if this is some victim statement, but Juan didn't even give it the time of the day. He didn't even acknowledge it. He didn't even be
You,
like,
you don't know if it's a victim statement. David has been a victim
oh, this is
since
true.
Michelle didn't ask about his day and how he was doing. He has been a victim, a professional victim.
um, and he was like, I don't think you should take all the guilt because Madison played the game with you. And if you guys want to be together, go for it. But you are going to have challenges with trust. Like, what kind of trust will you have for each other if this is how you got together? And I'm like, go on. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
that was
always
really,
like
really
on
good.
you, but it's true. But it's true though,
Yeah.
because if something happens and you know what you two did, and you guys know whatever lies and excuses, gym buddies, gym dates, and whatever, and somebody tells you the same thing,
Yeah,
how do you not go, but this is the plan that we came up with?
exactly. It's like whatever goes around, how you get them is how you lose them. So it's like, are you
I
guys
don't
going to
know
be
if
able
I
to
believe that.
sustain like what Juan was saying?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, he was going the
Yeah.
route of how you get them is how you lose them. Like, are you going to be able to sustain your relationship when
Mm-hmm.
your relationship started without trust in the
Mm-hmm.
first place? So I think that's what he was saying. And to be honest, I actually agree with him about like having I know he usually goes like the business route, but I think where Juan and Carla have come to in their relationship, and I'm saying relationship in quotes, they've started just looking at this as an experience for them to be able to make friends and have people in their corner and stuff like that. So I can see why he would give that type of advice, like saying Alan is the type of person that you should have in your corner because he didn't come here for no relationship. He came here to make friends. So like I think from his perspective, like that's how, because if you'd ask Camille and Thomas, I'm probably sure they would say something different and they'll talk about something that has to do more with the relationship and building a romantic relationship. But because he's checked out of a romantic relationship and he's thinking more around the side of friendship, that's how he gave his advice.
But then if he even went the route of friendship, I'll be fine. I feel like if he even said like Alan's a good dude, that he's so loyal and we have a good
Right.
time with him and all that, that
Yeah.
even works. But
Okay.
instead he's like,
The words that he used.
yes,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
like, oh, he's a guy you want in your corner, that
Yeah.
he adds value. And
Yeah.
it didn't
I,
sound, yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I interpreted that like in a friendship tone, but I can see how that sounds very business like too.
Yeah. I mean, at the
Yeah.
end of the day, one means no harm. Like, I
Yes.
would give him that. He doesn't mean
Yes.
any harm, but,
Yeah.
he bees like that.
Yeah. But I
So
really
the
enjoyed that scene. I like how he gave told David off pretty much.
Yeah, especially for me where I just finished the season of Love Island, and why I don't really like UK reality shows is like they're so polite and they're so nice and there's no like honesty. So every
Yeah.
time something happens, someone will do something wrong and they're like, "No, you're fine, you're fine. Like it's okay. Like you're only human." But they never tell each other the truth. So I just
Yeah.
finished that finale, and then seeing this, I was like, "See, this is why I prefer like American reality shows. Like even
Yeah.
though they're buddies and they're bros, and you know how men they will stand up for a man they've never met."
And not
just
hold
for the
each other
heck of it
accountable.
and not hold each other accountable. So for him to find that balance, he wasn't rude, he wasn't
Yeah.
anything, and just being honest, like, dude, I don't know if I want to be around you. Like, it
Yeah.
is what it is.
Yeah.
So really appreciated that. Okay, so David goes to Madison's room, asks her if she's staying, and she says, nah, she wants to talk to people in smaller groups. Say, you can't help how you feel. You can start a drinking game because if I tell you how many times Madison says this through the episode of how you can't help how you feel, you're going to be drunk by the end of this episode because, again, we know you
I
can't
have
help
a
how you feel
question for you.
allegedly, but you don't have to be a snake.
I actually have a question for you since you're married and in love, or you've experienced love.
Why you say it like
You know, the way David and Madison carried on
that?
throughout this whole episode, they
Hmm.
made it sound like they accidentally fell into emotions. Is that how it happens in real life? Does it just happen by accident? Or like there's actually intention behind liking someone? Like it was driving me crazy the way they were like, ah, yeah, it just happened. We're walking on the treadmill and talking about our partners, and then we just fell in love, boom, or fell in like, or
No, that
whatever.
that part is not. Wait, what's the opposite of feasible? That sounds wrong.
Maybe
That part
not
is
feasible.
not feasible.
Yeah.
Not feasible. Is not feasible. Juan said it best. Having feelings, catching feelings, whatever, is not wrong. Is the way you went about it because it's true. You could wake up one day. It's the plot for most rom-coms. Your best friend. You've been friends for years. There's nothing new. You're like, nah, it's platonic. It's platonic. You wake up one day because you've been spending so much time together. And then you find out like, oh my God, I have feelings for this person. So I actually don't think that that's so strange. You wake up every day, you talk about how miserable you're on the treadmill, even the walking part or whatever. I'm laughing, but it's not strange to me that they actually had feelings or anything. But not to be a broken record, there is an expiration date. There is 8 weeks. There is time that you could have done it. Or since you guys are so miserable, Michelle didn't want to cut it off. Maybe, I don't know what, breaking the contract comes with. Go to her and say like, hey, I don't think I want to do this. And I think I'm getting close to Madison, something. It's just the way they did it. But to answer your question, I do think that it's not strange or uncommon that they fell for each other. Whether it has
I
depth
think
or
they're
not,
lying. I think
that
both
what?
of them are lying. I don't think like this was just, oh, we were just walking on the treadmill. I feel like this was intentional
What do you
from
mean
day
when you
one
say
because
that?
it started from day one. I feel like as soon as David saw Madison, because all it takes for David is a blonde woman with blue eyes. I honestly feel like on his wedding day, he already knew Michelle wasn't with it. He saw Madison and it was like, okay, yeah, that's my person and I'm going to go for it.
And then
I
what's
feel like
Madison's story?
same thing. She wasn't feeling because this thing happened from day one. It happened from the honeymoon. And then they didn't even try to not be with each other, coming back at 1 a.m. Like, Madison did a lot of shisty shit. Like, she'll be like, oh, let me just quickly go take a phone call. And like she'll be gone for 2 hours. That is intentional. They did not accidentally fall in like.
So you think that from the honeymoon, they figured out
Yes.
that this is not going to work. I'm already going to say
Yes.
no. I have interest in
Yes.
you. So then let's
Yes.
meet at the gym at the same time. Let's talk.
Yes.
Let's. Okay, I can see
Yes.
that. I think I
Yeah.
misunderstood your question, but I can
Yeah.
see. And
Yeah.
then now that we know how diabolical they are,
Yes.
there wasn't even a okay, no, no, no. We probably shouldn't hang out, so we shouldn't,
Yes.
whatever. It was like, no, let's
Like,
actually
think
meet.
about it. David was sending that text about wanting to eat Madison up while Alan was probably there or just left. They're sick.
Oh, do you remember when David said when Michelle asked him what he did, and he said that was the first time we saw him eating whatever it was, tacos, chicken, or whatever,
Yeah.
in the middle of the night. He said he
Yeah.
went to work out, and
Yeah. And honestly, I feel like that is, I'm not trying to like defend Michelle or be a Michelle apologist, but I don't know. I get really anxious and I overthink things.
mm,
So there's parts of me that sees myself in Michelle. So maybe I'm projecting. I don't know. But she probably was feeling all these things from jump. It's either that or the producers were feeding her like shit. But
Mm-hmm.
I feel like from day one, she had felt uncomfortable about something because making such a claim that it could be Madison is such a big claim that if she was wrong, it would have been bad.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think in the last few episodes I've said that. Like she sounded sure.
Yeah,
She just wanted it to come out of their mouths to
yeah,
confirm what it is. And it was just
yeah.
like a weird I think I posted the clip again, the taco one, where it was just weird that her friend was like, do you think he meant to send it? And then he's like,
Yeah,
I think it was from Michelle.
yeah.
So
They've been intentional from the very beginning. They didn't accidentally fall in like, and I feel like that's why both of them were overcompensating in their specific relationships. So David just continued to take the shit from Michelle, like, "Oh, whatever, like I'll just like act like I'm appreciating the effort that she's putting in
mhm.
till the very end. And then Madison's way of overcompensating was, okay, I'll just keep feeding Alan all these things till we get to the end. At least I will look like I tried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So David informs Madison that Alan and Michelle and Emem have left, but he doesn't want to leave her high and dry, so he'll stay here as her backup. I don't know, her bodyguard or whatever. He says, looking back, it was a fuck up and he has to keep working and he wants to show her the sides that Michelle didn't get to see and that he has a lot to offer. And this is something that's already annoying me about their relationship. Their relationship doesn't always have to be a comparison to Michelle or something. Like, I want to show you the sides that Michelle didn't see. You want to show her your sides. Just show her your sides. It
No,
doesn't
he's
have to
going to
be.
keep saying that because he's a victim. And Michelle led him to this. So he needs to remind the audience that this is Michelle's fault because she didn't get to see all these wonderful things about me because she caused it. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, you get to see the side of me, unlike shitty Michelle. He needs to keep reminding us.
He said that he knows that because Madison was like, oh, I was trying. I really wanted it to work. And he said he knows that she was trying, that for sure. I know that. And then tries to validate her. And all I'm seeing is that meme or that thing where it's like two dumb broads just telling each other exactly.
Exactly.
So she wants to emphasize with David that they're building their friendship foundation, that they're not jumping into dating. And this is where their lies start because we're not jumping into anything, but eating you is fine. It's okay. Like, no, we're just gym buddies or whatever it is they say they are.
That walk on the treadmill.
Yeah.
You can't forget that part.
My bad. For the 100th time, Madison says she wants them to know that you can't help who you catch feelings for. Madison comes downstairs to the remaining couples and we see Carla. And me wondering where she was. She said she was just sleeping. She got a good night's sleep and apparently she missed out on a lot. They're actually nice to her. They're like, hi. She's like, oh, should we go chat? All the ladies go to the couch. She tells them that the feelings developed over the last few weeks, which is hilarious considering it's 8 weeks. So the last few weeks is a long time. Carla says it was really hard and difficult because Michelle opened up to them several times, and for this to be happening behind closed doors, there should have been a conversation so that she can live her best life with David, and Michelle doesn't have to wonder who the text was for. That she would never cross that boundary. Madison said that she didn't believe the text message was for her because they are not at that level. And every piece of advice that she gave Michelle was genuine. How can you say it's genuine when you are, now we know, according to Wendy, intentionally catching feelings with her husband? Of course it's disingenuous. It invalidates everything that you're telling her. You were telling her, say it in a nice way, talk to her knowing fully well that it means nothing because you guys are doing whatever it is you're doing.
David and Madison planned all these things. Like,
yeah,
they planned it out. They said this is what we're going to say. But unfortunately for them, we're not dumb.
Yeah. And then Madison says, the thing is, how do you tell someone when you don't even know what direction you're going into? This is infuriating because, again, she says a variation of things like this throughout the whole episode. Carla says that their friendship outside of this is compromised and she feels like she was closest to her and she went out with them and all that this is fucked up and this is grimy. And in all relationships, friendship or not, you need trust. And Madison is like, I just want to say we're not a couple. that she wanted to get through the 8 weeks and that didn't happen. And this is an elevated friendship. This is a new term I
So,
have added.
so let me tell you something about Madison. Madison is like a bro. She doesn't see, she's not a girly girl. She's not
What a
a,
girl's girl.
yeah, she's not a girl's girl. She doesn't see those girls as her friends.
I
They're not
mean,
her friend. That's the reason why I know that she went for David, because she didn't see Michelle as her friend.
yeah,
Like, she was intentional about these things from jump, because she's just like, man, we're all here to. Didn't they say that last week? Like, they're not here to make friends.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's the answer right there. She didn't like look at her as a friend. She just looked at her as a co-worker and as someone that doesn't like her husband. So like, I'm gonna just like, help her out and take this man off of her hand. Like, she's not a girl's girl. Michelle is not her friend, and yeah, that is how she validated herself to do this. And because she also has the like she Madison is terrible. I have nothing else to say about that lady.
She's a
Like,
trigger.
she honestly, she's a terrible person, and she's had that self-inflated thing is really going to be her downfall. Like,
Well,
her ego. Yeah.
all I know is next time I ask you about your relationship status, I'm not gonna say, "Are you talking to anyone?" I'm gonna be like, "Do you have an elevated friendship with anyone?"
Is
You like to
anyone
go to the
texting
gym.
you
Are you on the
to eat you
treadmill?
out? Did you get that text yet?
That's what I'm gonna ask you.
So
Madison
unserious.
Madison says she doesn't know if this could be something, and it's basically just acknowledging the feelings that they have for each other. Camille says, David thinks that it could be something. And Camille says, but also David has lied a lot already, and that text that he sent was not a crush text. And Carla says, exactly, like eat what? Like, Carla is just cracking me up this whole time. And I'm just like, Madison is lying her ass off. And they can't even get their stories straight. How do you go from I have feelings, I probably shouldn't, it's an elevated friendship, to now I don't know what direction, I just want it to be slow, and you're talking to these people like you think they're stupid. And
Yeah.
she says, she understands if they're disappointed in her and what this means for future friendships. And like we just talked about, this woman last week says we're not here to make friends. So
Yeah,
she was
Madison
not
doesn't
interested.
care.
Listen, when people, someone has said this before, when people cheat on their partners, that okay, let me reverse. There's always a point in everyone's life where you have time to make a choice. Either I'm going A or if I'm going B. Everybody meets temptation, everybody meets whatever. It might not even be a relationship thing. When someone decides I'm going to go ahead with this, even though I know it's wrong, it's because you don't think you're ready to, what's it called? You're ready to give it up.
Yeah.
You're ready to give up whatever happens. You're like,
Yeah.
I'm fine with whatever happens. So Madison has thought about this. This
Yes.
is wrong. For one, a lot of these couples, once they decide they're not attracted to the person, they
Yeah.
don't see it as a real marriage. It's like
Yeah.
free game. But also the other person, aka Michelle, it's the Alan part. Again, I just refuse to put Michelle and Alan in the same thing. But I'll give
Yeah.
Michelle, because as a human being, she deserves that respect.
Yeah.
But Madison has already decided that it is
Yes.
worth it for me to pursue. They are going to be casualties and they'll get over it.
Yeah.
I know I can't say that out loud
Yeah.
because it's politically not right, but
Yeah.
honestly, you get over it. You didn't even like
Yeah.
the man anyways. And Alan, you had to
Exactly.
have known that I wasn't going to say it wasn't working. It just wasn't there.
Exactly.
So why is everybody mad? But she knows she can't say that out loud.
Exactly. So again, it feels my first statement like this was all intentional.
Yeah.
This wasn't by accident. Like, they knew what they were doing, and I don't know if, because they didn't expect the text thing to happen.
Yeah.
So the text thing was what blew all this up.
Oh, David fucked up with that one.
Yeah. Text thing blew all this out of the water. If that didn't happen, they would have been able to spin some sort of narrative around this.
Yeah.
But that happened, and like now she has to. But she didn't care.
Yeah, she did not.
Madison did not care. Like, honestly, I was thinking about, I can't believe, imagine you're talking to me right now and I tell you I'll be right back and I disappear for 2 hours. What kind of shit is that?
Well, Carla stands on business and is like, yeah, I need to think on it because I don't really see both sides. There are a million men in the world, and this place, you guys are supposed to be our safety nets, and a certain trust level has been broken. And I don't want to surround myself with women who break that boundary. And I'm like, yes, Carla, tell her.
Yes.
Madison says she feels awful, and she tells David that she's going to head back to the city, and obviously he can stay or go, but she's packed up. Madison, what do you mean you can stay or go, but I'm packed up? AKA, let's get the fuck out of here and let's go. Like, if you didn't want him to go or not, just say you're leaving and leave. Not, obviously, you can stay or go if you want to.
Again, because it's part of their plan to make it seem like this is just a casual thing and they're just building on their platonic friendships and stuff like that. Like, they planned all this shit out. They're dumb as hell.
Alan comes back to get his car and his spices that he carefully put in his Ziploc bag because the spices are essential. And as he's talking in the confessional, Wendy, I'm like, wait, did Alan get finer through the season? Because
I swear, I text my friend this. I said, I'm not sure what is going on, but Alan is looking fine.
yes, he is. Like, I don't know, he has a salt and pepper thing going on
Yes.
that is looking good. And, you know, our friend texted me and she's like, she doesn't watch the show, but she's like, why y'all keep saying Alan isn't that? I just saw his picture and he looks good.
Yes.
She's like, did he get finer? I was like, no, he's been the same. But I saw this confessional. I'm like, okay, Alan.
That's
But,
exactly what I thought. I'm like, Alan is looking mighty fine. Because I know I judged him in the beginning, so I'm eating my words now.
I mean, my only judgment, he's fixing. I hope he still doesn't. He's not mad, but he should do the Invisalign.
Yeah, he
It'd
should.
be top notch.
Yeah.
So he says that the pain is still there. He has a little powwow with Camille and Carla and is like, you know, he doesn't get it. And he's just worried that he'll become like untrusting. And Carla's like, no, like you've said that you've had inklings. The only thing is don't ignore it. Like trust your instinct and don't romanticize things when things aren't looking good. Alan said he doesn't want to speak to her. He doesn't need answers. He doesn't really care. And he's done with that. We see David saying that he was only here to support Madison. And now that she's not here, that they're going from, what did he say? He said he wanted to support Madison from something he started or whatnot. David, this is not a or whatnot. You cheated and you broke the trust of your friend. That now he can leave and he can self-reflect. You see why, you know, therapy is good, but it's been bad for our generation because he's going to go into another relationship and say, you know, this happened, but I can self-reflect, be a better man, look within myself to wonder why this happened. And I was just really annoyed by him because all these buzzwords, like, shove it up your ass. Like, I don't even care. And then he can be at peace. Then when he's leaving, all the girls are downstairs. He's like, all right, guys, I'm going to leave. I'm going to go watch the Cowboys because today's my day off. And it's all that. I'm like, nobody. Oh, and then he's like, because my family, they still love me and they still care for me. Nobody asked you any. Go away. Like, nobody asked you.
Sometimes, like, I feel like we're missing some key information about David. Or maybe it was in the matchmaking episode. Because he seems very insecure, but I actually don't know what he's insecure about.
Oh, that's very easy. Probably just like not being where I guess he should be. Like it's the whole thing where if he seems insecure, then it's more appealing to Madison.
Yeah, because, but like I'm able to like point it out, but I actually don't really have any facts to back this up from watching the show. Now, people on Reddit or whatever have investigated things, whatever. I didn't really pay attention to it. But like from watching the show, I don't know what makes him insecure. Unlike with Merla and Gil, you could deduce from watching the show that, oh, Merla is, you know, all these things and she's making bank. And Gil did say it himself, like, oh, I'm not making as much money as she is and blah, 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 blah. I don't know if I ever heard David say, I live in my parents' basement and this is
Yeah,
like,
he said
it
that doesn't
makes me
matter to
feel,
him.
but it does matter.
He said money is not how he measures his happiness and that he's working
But he's
towards that.
lying.
But I know what
That's
you
why I'm
mean.
confused.
It's like he's never like everyone says the thing that they're kind of worried about or makes them feel a little insecure, but we
Yeah,
don't know the thing that actually bothers
yeah,
David.
exactly. I don't know. I
Yeah.
just know he's insecure because he keeps talking about how like Michelle didn't ask after him and his past, and like, and then when we'll get there, but when he was talking to his friend as well, he's like, I used to be this person back in the day, you couldn't tell me shit. It's just like, I don't know who he is. I just know he's insecure.
Well, who knows? It could be a million things because I mean, didn't he also used to be like in the fitness thing and he was ripped and then maybe he's not as ripped and I don't know. So
And
he
you know
still
what?
wants
That
to
would have
feel like
actually made him look human if he mentioned these things, except they didn't, maybe they didn't show us.
he's a positive guy. He always looks on the bright side. um
True.
so the whole way he's just rambling and saying whatever he's saying. Carla is just laughing, not giving him eye contact. She's about her, what was she eating, avocado
It looked
toast or
like,
something.
yeah, it looked like
And
chips and guac.
okay, and she's just side-eyeing him, laughing at his face. Actually at some point thought David was going to be like, what's funny, Carla, because that's the kind of thing that David would do instead of just being humble and just eating crow and leaving. But she just ends when he leaves. She was just laughing and she's like, it's the Hunger Games. I don't even know what that means, but
Hmm.
yeah. So Michelle calls Pastor Cal. These are the things that give Michelle joy. To call Pastor Cal, to basically say, I am right. Like you were wrong. She catches him up on everything because she would never tire of telling the story. And Pastor Cal seems surprised. Pastor Cal
I
was like, wait,
know.
what? And he was like, I'm sorry, did you say Madison? But I thought they said they get briefs on all this all the time. So is this a case where they purposely didn't tell them so they get a genuine react and then they're like, Michelle, you have to call Pascal right now and tell
I was
him.
surprised about how surprised Pastor Carl was. I was like, what?
So
This seems
yeah,
very genuine.
genuine,
So,
exactly, because I don't know that Pascal. I always wonder about Pascal's, like, as a pastor and as a Christian, how far do we go for reality TV? What is real?
yeah,
What is fake? How far are you willing to go? But he
yeah,
did seem genuinely surprised.
surprised.
He apologizes to her, and I do want to say, so in the Patreon group chat that I talked about earlier, we have a patron, hi Angela, who's, basically talking about the whole situation. And she feels like who Michelle has always been mad at this whole time are the experts. And they're making her feel like, she did this, she wasn't putting effort, but she knows specifically what she asked for. And they didn't give her that. And she's just mad, like, why on earth do you think I would have been a good match for this guy? And then the flip side is things that they're not really showing or saying, but you mentioned earlier things in Reddit because, again, I just have a bunch of people who text me about TV shows, and so I try to avoid spoilers the best way I can, but this is not a spoiler. But my friend was just like, they found things about David, like he's really not, is it a social worker or something?
Yeah,
He's really not employed by certain things, which changes the narrative, not completely, but it does have an impact because if Michelle found out and realized, because if you're working for the government or whatever, it's public knowledge.
yeah,
Someone can just look it up and find out. So if
yeah.
she found out, like, you really don't have this income. I did look up his LinkedIn page. It still just says a bar, like that he had many
And they
years.
even said that like he wasn't him that owned the bar. Did
It's
he
his
not say
parents.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, and they had the condo and all that kind of stuff, or he converted it. So if that is the case where he generally doesn't even have an income, and his income is just the foreman that he does in the
Yeah.
second shift and all that, I can see where she's coming from. And then he's lying about it and then saying he has savings, but he doesn't have savings and he can pay for this. I would be mad. I mean,
Yeah.
that is a genuine reason to be mad. Like, finances play a big part, and if it feels like you're not trying to get out of that situation, it just feels like maybe there's a whole bunch that we don't know about. Again,
Yes.
not putting my hopes on the reunion, but I want to add this again. All well and good you still don't have to be so mean like Michelle was. Just stay in your lane, smile. Like, she basically called him the human version of her childhood trauma.
Yeah.
Like, you can't, like, that
Yeah.
is so ridiculous, to say. We can't confirm. We don't know what's true. We don't know what isn't, but that's my
And
only
I
thing.
and I think she was really annoyed by, again, if we're saying that she knew these things about his finances. I
Afterwards.
think, yeah, I think it really annoyed her, again, the way he carried on about
Yeah.
himself, like
Yeah.
he was this great awesome person, and
Yeah.
like he's just so amazing, and he's lying
Yes.
about finances and habit. Like, he just sounds like someone that has no integrity.
Yes, and that's the thing. When you go back to the beginning, I've said it before, we were all judging date. We had no proof. We just knew that
Yeah.
something was off, but we don't
Yeah.
know. But and he will always tell you, I'm a great guy. Even now he still thinks he's a great guy.
And like, he
So
would also mention that great guy thing out of nowhere. I'm a great
yeah.
guy. From nowhere.
And my
What
parents
does
love
that have
me.
to do with? Yeah. So like, honestly, him and Madison fit because
Yeah.
she's validating
His
this
bad
nonsense.
behavior.
Yes.
Because they always say you should be with someone who matches your morals and values. They didn't specify what kind of morals and values. So they're on the same level in
Yeah.
that regard. So the rest of the couples, Juan and Carla and Thomas and Camille, play basketball. I'm only mentioning this because Camille is good at basketball. She wasn't
Yeah.
lying when
Yeah.
she said that. They go back into town. Alan comes over to Michelle's apartment. The one thing that David did not lie about is the fact that Michelle's apartment is basic.
The thing that stood out to me, there was a backpack outside of the door. I don't know.
I didn't see it.
Whose backpack is that? And why can't it come into the apartment?
Oh, I didn't see that. Maybe it was a producer and they forgot to get it out. They start doing this scorned lovers discussion. They discuss how, that's not a friendly text. It's been weeks and everything is suspicious. And then they do the best part of this episode, the flashback of moments, standing ovation, chef's kiss,
Yes,
all the flowers. Connecticut,
yes,
you did your big one. This was so great. They do the flashback of moments, and we see that right from the honeymoon, even when she did the toast, she was looking up at him as she did the toast, which adds credence to what you just said, Wendy, that it was intentional. And that's when I noticed that he was wearing those SpongeBob shorts to the gym on their honeymoon. And I'm like, yep, the producers knew. But I love this so much. They did the side-by-side timestamps. When I saw the side-by-side, I actually screamed out loud, partly because friends of the pod from the Friar podcast weeks ago, Ellie has been saying this, like, oh, wouldn't it be so awesome if they just did side by side? I bet you that when they're coming back, because we never saw David come back into the apartment, we didn't even know. Michelle said she doesn't stay there. We didn't know what they just came here to film, or is anyone sleeping there? I assume David was, because he doesn't have an apartment. So she's been saying, like, we'll do that, but maybe it's a reach. I'm asking for too much. And when they did that, I yelled out, oh my God. And then I was so happy for Ellie. I was like, Ellie, you were right. They actually had it and they kept it, and the way they laid it out, and they spent time on it. We got a montage, of good timing, and it was so great to see it. And it was like so grimy, like Carla said. Carla said it was grimy and so fucked up.
Yeah.
Was ridiculous. And because of the flashback, I confirmed that Alan did get finer. They did that cam of him in the hot tub when he went out with her, air quotes, friends at night, and he was saying, oh, I wish she was here with me on our first night back at the apartment. And that is not the same Alan. That was not confessional. So he did get finer. Alan says, I think Michelle asked if they'd spoken or anything, and Alan says, oh no, like actually on my way here, Madison just texted me and was apologizing. And Alan just says, don't message me, please. Nothing you say holds value in my eyes. Whew. Love it. One line. Stand up for yourself.
Yes.
And as they commiserate together, again, another PSA, guys. Michelle and Alan's journey is not the same. As much as she wants to hop on the train and be like, oh, I was trying. And later on, when Pascal says that she was turning a corner, that's a joke, but okay. It's not the same. The only person hurt in this situation is Alan. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. What else happens? Oh, the producers are shady. When they're doing
their 1 second. Did you are you going to talk about when Michelle, because you did the PSA, she said, I haven't even cried yet.
I did not hear that. I wasn't going to talk about it. She said that. What were you going to cry about?
I thought that was how you were doing the PSA. Like you were going to mention how she said, I haven't even cried yet. So I was like,
she did say that? Yeah. Oh, Michelle. And that's the problem with all these people involved. Everybody acts like they're androids and they're like asking themselves or asking AI, what would a human do in this situation?
Yes.
Would we cry? Would we feel bad? Okay, now action. Let's do it.
Yep.
They're not doing anything naturally. Natural is what Alan did. When Michelle told him about it, he teared up. I tried. I was really asking her. He punched the cabinet. He did the things. That is human. Yeah. Going on and saying, oh, I'm sorry. I really feel bad. I'm sure it hurts Alan. Oh, we're just friends. Oh, I haven't even cried yet. That is AI behavior.
Yep. That sure is. Yep. Scripted.
Oh, thanks for bringing that up. That's funny. But I was saying that the producers were shady because they do all the street shots of Chicago and stuff. And then they had one and it was like Madison Street. They just did a shot.
I missed that.
And put that up there.
Where Alan she belongs in the streets.
Alan goes by. That's true. For the street. So Alan goes to their apartment. Alan rips the photos out of their albums. He rips up her vows. He goes all waiting to exhale, takes the vows to the burner. He burns it all up. He takes her Mrs. mug and he breaks it up. Some may say that Alan is dramatic. Some may say it's psychotic, but he is allowed to be as dramatic as possible.
Period.
Man,
I approve.
National television, being made a fool of by his friend and his wife, made to buy $3,000 clothes, made to get 2,500 Invisaligns, made to confess and share to someone who does not give a fuck about him. So
burn the place down.
Down. Yes. So that happens. And the music playing in the background is You Are So Cold-Hearted. So I'm telling you, great episode.
Great.
David meets up with his friend Tommy. And I noticed that David and Madison both have that nervous laughter tick. They just laugh, I guess, when they're nervous. He tells his friend about Madison and all that stuff. His friend was like, that's great, man. I haven't seen you laugh this whole time. This is amazing. I was like, what kind of foolish friend is this? Birds of the same feather kind of situation? Like, you can support your friend, but you also tell them, like, that's not right, though. But he skipped all of that.
I don't know. These people are just so ridiculous. And again, I was just so annoyed by, it started in the gym. We're walking on the treadmill. Like, this is how you know they're lying. Because, like, everything is so performative. And, like, you can tell that they've rehearsed a script. It started at the gym. Walking on the treadmill. I never walk on the treadmill. What? And if these are the friends, because you're going to talk about Madison's friend.
Yeah.
If these are the friends that they're surrounded by, then you know why they're shitty people.
Yeah. Because they keep the people that encourage their foolishness. And I'm not saying because, you have friends and you support your friends, but exactly what Juan and Carla did, you have to also be honest with them and not make it seem like it's okay.
Or even ask questions like, wasn't that awkward for the group? Like, how did you guys, I would probe and at least ask questions and see where your head is at. So even if I don't want to give you advice or like hold you accountable, I would still ask you questions just to probe a little further as opposed to, oh yeah, that's cool. I have never seen you smile this much.
Yeah. But the thing they didn't practice is Madison is saying that she doesn't know what direction they're going to take, but Dave is here saying, like, I can pursue things with her. I really like her. The moment I knew I fell for her was, again, on the treadmill. And she told him, Dave, because I know who you are, She told me not to go back on my old ways. And I was like, yeah,
What
this is
are
the
these
person
old
for
ways?
me.
Like, that's what I want to know.
Maybe a player. Isn't that what he said earlier? Where he was like, back in the day, you couldn't tell me nothing. Basically, I was the shit. I don't know.
Man, David
But
is such a loser. And like, he's living on past glory.
yeah. He
He's
says he.
he's still a frat boy.
How old is he again? He's in his 30s, right? He turned
He's 36
36.
because I know, yeah, that
His
Michelle
birthday.
was 2 years older than him. He's a frat boy, and Madison is still in college.
Yeah, that's why she's still in her party. Honestly, when all this was happening, I just kept asking. I was like, Madison, how do you have the energy on a weeknight to go to bars, to go to
Girl,
clubs, and you coming at 3 and
girl,
then you're up for work? Like, I like a
girl.
good time, but on a weeknight, like I
On
got
a
to the stage in my life
weeknight?
where only reserved for weekends. It's almost like if someone gives me an invitation and it's on Thursday. I'm like, huh? Is
How
this a
old is
mistake?
Madison?
She's in her 30s too, but I don't remember how old she is. Maybe 34. No, she was
Really?
older
No,
because we.
I thought she was 28 or 29. I
Oh,
know. Yeah, I think Michelle is significantly older than her.
oh, okay. Then that kind of makes sense. If she's still in her 20s, well, yeah,
But she's not
she's.
that young
Yeah, she still has all the
either.
energy. I still had energy in my 20s.
Like
So
28?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I know someone's going to tell us. You can you Google? Are you googling
Yeah,
right now?
yeah.
Okay, I'll keep going.
Yeah.
Anyways, he says that he can see himself getting married to Madison. So while she's telling us that she doesn't know where they're headed, he's saying that he can see himself getting married. And I'm like, can they decide on what their story is? Are they friends? Are they eating each other? Are they headed to a relationship? Are they elevated friends? Or are there feelings? Like, where are we? But it's all over the place and it is not ringing true at all to anyone.
Because, liars lie and can't keep up with their lies. But I Googled her age and they said she was 29 when the show was filmed in 2023.
Okay. Well, that
Yeah.
explains her energy. I don't know why I thought she was older, but she's not
Girl,
because Camille is 33.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, Madison comes into their apartment to see that it's trashed. As she packs her stuff, she's like, oh, it feels like a dark cloud, that it's ominous, that she's anxious about everything. And she should have been the person to say it to Alan, but she didn't have the courage to say that. So, I mean, at least she admitted that to herself. So she calls her friend and is telling her friend everything. And her friend is like, oh, that's psycho behavior. I mean, yeah, he's hurt, but that's too far. Who gets to say it's too far? What your friend did is too far. Where are you saying that? So
Her friend is a stupid person, just like her. Both their friends are stupid people.
and then what does Madison do? She starts crying.
Yeah.
And she was like, I apologize. That the sad part is that she can't explain her side to him. And I'm like, what is there to explain? These kind of things, all you need to do is just apologize and say, I know my apology means nothing, but there's nothing to explain. Her friend gives stupid advice that, like you should tell him that you just want to talk to him and that you value him as your husband. And I'm like, you lost that privilege. Like, what are we talking about there? And she's like, as my husband, and you don't talk to him as his wife. No. Madison still says that no one understands what it's like to be in this position. What do you do with those feelings? You wait till the 8 weeks are over, or you tell them that you have feelings.
Also, why does it seem like Madison is having such a hard time and David is just like coasting?
Because she knows that at the end of the day, the people that get the harder end of the stick is women. So
Mm.
she's trying to at least AI some remorse and phone it in. But honestly, she really doesn't care. David for sure doesn't care. And he's like, I'm not going to put my energy into even pretending like I
Yeah.
care. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's unfortunate.
very. She said she wants to talk to Alan really badly and look him in the eye to tell him everything. I was like, why? So you can hurt him more? And then she does say something about it's happened. No, this is something that's been going on. And then I don't know if this is a slip, but she says the last 6 or 7 weeks. Considering this show is 8 weeks, I just laid out all the validation for your whole intentional romance, because for her to say 6 or 7 weeks and this thing is 8 weeks, then it was from the honeymoon and you did plan it and it's all been all that from jump.
Yeah, they
So
just didn't expect the text thing to. They had other plans, and that's why they probably had other AI plans.
so,
But the
so
text message screwed everything up, so they had to come up with other AI plans.
So another nominee for best scene of the episode. The experts are in town. I guess they're in town because decision day is here. So this all worked out very well because I was like, I thought they flew in because it was an emergency, and I was like, wow, they flew all three of them in, but decision day is like the next day or something. Is walking up to the path in this fire orange dress, and I'm like, is coming through with the fits. I didn't know that she was dressed for Ikechi's funeral at
Yeah,
the time.
yeah, and I never know what the weather is like whenever dresses, because I'm like, is it cold? Is it hot? Like, what's going on? But she looked fantastic. That
She
orange
sure
on
did.
her skin, eight.
Yes, it was. So they come in, and Pastor Cal says with a straight face that they know that the marriage is done, but they want them together to see if there's anything worth salvaging or if they're headed straight to divorce. I'm like, Pastor Cal, divorce. Divorce is the only option at this point. Nothing else. Like, stop it. Emem says that she feels good and realized that, because Pascal says, how are you feeling? And she's like, oh, I feel good. And Pascal's like, how did you get there? And she's like, I realized like whatever I did, it was always going to end. The marriage was always going to end. That he has been trying to tear her down from the beginning, and she was giving him weight because she didn't know him. And then they're like, how do you feel? What do you wish for him? She's like, well, my mom wishes in peace. And they're all laughing and they're all going. And then they were like, how about you? She didn't answer the question. She's like, oh, me? Oh, I wish him the worst. As
Period.
always, Ikechi comes in late. Ikechi did not attend any meeting with anyone early. No dinner, no couples retreat, no meetings with the expert. He always strolled in late. The only difference this time was that he didn't come in with a backpack. Maybe his backpack was at Michelle's. Another scandal.
Maybe the producers, let's give him that. Maybe the producers give him a different call time.
All right. That's a lie. I think he always wants to have a presence.
Yeah.
But as soon as he walked in, I'm not even there, but I felt the dark cloud.
My God.
Once he came in. Like, it was just want. Like,
that man sucks up the energy of every room he walks into.
So Dr. Pepper asked, like, I just want to know, what was your thought process of coming to the retreat with, this is what she said.
She said, that was funny. Go ahead.
So Dr. Pepper says, I just want to know your thought process of coming to the retreat, and I quote, some kind of document of divorce.
Like, wait. Was this a plan for Ikechi's funeral and everyone was in on it except Ikechi? Because that was crazy how she said that with a straight face. Like, she was serious.
She was, because she easily could have said, I heard that you came in with documents, you wanted her to sign something, but she specifically said some kind of document of divorce, and then announced it while everybody was at dinner. Why did you do it that way? This is one of the times I wish Emem had kept quiet, because I wanted to hear what he was going to say. He said whatever he said at after party. It wasn't satisfactory. And then she chimed in and was like, because he wanted to embarrass me. And I was like, no, Emem, wait, what is he going to say? He's going to look stupid. Like, the thing with Ikechi is that he will look stupid anyways. So just let him do what he wants to do. He starts yelling, or where his octave just starts going higher and higher. And she's like, no, I didn't. That was not my intention. She's like, that's bullshit. And he should be very ashamed of himself. At this point, she's like snarling, actually.
Yes.
When she's talking to him. But like I said, I really want to hear the answer. But he says, I'm about to leave. And this is why I always walk out, because this is what she does. And then Pascal is like, do you want to continue this marriage? Before he even's done, he's like, no. But I wonder why they did this, and why didn't they just do this on decision day? Like, just be like, we know that, like, have this conversation on decision day. Like, why did they do it the day before? I don't know.
I wonder why too.
Yeah. So Pastor Emem is like, yeah, I'm done. But here are the documents. And she said, but the thing is, I wrote him a letter, and I titled it Letter to My Departed. And I'm like, you know what? This is so extra, but I feel like this is Ikechi's language. And I wasn't going to read it out. I was like, no, it's just, this is what it was. But, I love you guys. I took notes. And I'm going to read you this letter verbatim because it deserves to be heard. If you watched it, it deserves to be heard again. If you didn't watch it, you deserve to hear this. This is exactly what she said. I was prepared to see this through, but you've been unstable this entire marriage. I was prepared. Your perception is your reality, but your reality is not based in fact. You are embarrassing. I would wish you well, but I'm God's favorite, and my well wishes won't be what gets you any further than when you are in life. I wish you nothing but the worst. That's a parting gift. I have also prepared a list of therapists local to you. I have attached the documentation on how to properly complete a dissolution of marriage application since your single page is not legitimate and you can take care.
Ting.
R.I.P. Ikechi.
Ting. Ting. You know what she said in the beginning? They were like, oh, this is a bit dramatic. But I was like, no, this fits him.
Yes.
Like, this is perfect for him. And the letters to my departed is in lieu with his letters to his future wife.
Yes.
This read needs to be in the Reality Hall of Fame reads of all time. This was chef's kiss.
If I was Emem's friend, for a gift, I'm gonna frame that shit. Put it in cursive. Put it in a nice felt paper. Put it in a frame. Send it to her and just be like,
you deserve.
You did it. Like,
you deserve.
That was great. I know some people thought it was cringy and it was that, but everything Emem is doing now is retaliation for all the hope that she had for whatever. I wouldn't say he was feeding her hope. She chose to read it as hope. But if she's even being mad at herself and this is what helps her get over it and get through it, then that's okay. And he deserved it. I don't care.
Nah, this was an educated read. Nah, she ate.
Oh, especially with the list of therapists.
Yes.
You? Like, so lest you forget who I is. I'm an educated bitch. And this is what I can do to help you. Like, it was so good.
Oh, yes.
It was so good. And you know that the experts really wanted to jump in because they keep saying, this is toxic, the way you talk to each other. But at the end of the day, it's a reality show and they have to listen to it. But their faces killed me. Like, the way they were just looking like, maybe they asked the producer, are you sure we can't, like, chime in? Like, we have to let her. I'm so glad they chose to keep it in and they chose to do that. And when she was done, Dr. Pepper says, okay, I guess we're done.
I even think Dr. Pepper smirked. I think she enjoyed it. I'm not gonna lie.
But this is afterward when they did that, and Ikechi says, "Well, now you get a taste of what I've been through. It doesn't feel good to sit and be insulted. I'd rather be old and single than miserably married." This guy is such a loser because he has all these cliches like the "I'm not everybody's cup of tea," but a bottle of whatever the thing is.
Hennessy and something.
Yeah. Hennessy and Coke or Hennessy, whatever. That's the same thing. I think MAFS fan posted that he put that on Facebook also. Like, I'd rather be miserably married than single than miserably married. And he said it again on the show. Okay.
Such a loser. Remember when I said delusional? He's one of the members of the group of delusional people for this episode.
As soon as he leaves, Dr. Pepper comes in and is like, now, Emem, you know that was shady. And Emem was like, yeah, someone had to do it. And I don't understand why Dr. Pia always wants to say Emem did something too far when they're kind of scared to always sometimes tell Ikechi that he did something too far. Why does she have to be the one to control? And this was her last hurrah. So she might as well go all the way out and call him out. But she's like, someone had to do it. And for her last nail in the coffin for Ikechi, she was like, I charge for consultations, but this one's on the house.
I even think that was a read to the experts, to be honest.
Well, I mean, I don't know if they took it as a read because this is where I think they were looking proud. Because Pascal looked at her like, what am I going to do with this girl? But that was a good one, girl. But he can't say that. And that's what all of them look like. We're proud of you. We failed you, but I'm proud of you.
We're proud of you. Oh! Nah. That scene needs to be... I said that scene just needs to be in the Hall of Fame of reads. Like it's in line with like Phaedra and Kenya, and they give educated reads to Phaedra and
Yeah.
Kenya.
But I
Yeah.
think what's going to happen is when we have one of those corny MAFS countdown, well, again, I don't know what's going to happen when we move to Peacock because Lifetime is going to have the rights.
Oh
So I don't know
yeah.
if they can do flashbacks because kind of like when Love Island left CBS and went to NBC, we don't have like those flashbacks anymore because it
Oh
belongs to
no.
CBS. So what's going to happen is I don't know if Lifetime can do any of that anymore. But if they do countdowns and they're like best seasons or best reads or whatever, they'll include that because how they always include basic Caucasian sex,
Oh
that scene,
yeah.
they'll like be including this. And I
Yeah.
just want to slightly add that I always fast forward the ads, but I saw this ad and it was for hydro. It's like a workout thing for rowing and things like that. And I just want to say, like, again, much like ADT, who decides like something is a good match with Married at First Sight? This is an actual like commercial. But I
Hmm.
also noticed that Jessica from the DC season is selling that because she gives the coupon code for it. And also Ashley from the original Chicago season. They're giving coupon codes for hydro. So basically, some ad agency have told these people that the audience for hydro, um, the audience for Married at First Sight are a good market for hydro.
Hydra. Interesting.
Okay, so to wrap things up, our villains meet the experts. Madison has searched AI. What do I say that makes me more remorseful? And her selfie cam, she says that they're meeting with the experts and she doesn't know what to expect. But at the end of the day, it's still her life and she's not sure how they're going to address it. She just doesn't want to be berated. Yes, she handled it wrong, but she's a human. Can you imagine someone going to court and just being like, I mean, yes, I cut off their finger, but I'm a human being. I was just angry in the moment. I
Exactly. I mean, I
accidentally
fucked up. Duh. Who hasn't?
I accidentally had feelings and all that. And that they can ask all the questions they want, but she's not walking into this to be told that she did something wrong or she's a bad person. Nobody understands what it's like to be put in this position. Fucking Madison. Who put you in this position?
You
She's
know
not
that
sorry. It's a performative response.
because like their thing is like, I mean, this just happened. We didn't plan for it, so that's why she can say, oh, I mean, like, I mean, I didn't mean to put myself in this position. It just happened. We just caught feelings.
But it's stupid still. They're
It
focusing so much
is.
on the feelings and not the actions. 8
Yeah.
weeks. Eight
Yeah.
weeks is like 2 months. Like,
Because that's what they think is going to get America's like attention. Like, we just fell in love. They're honestly trying to make this some weird love story. Honestly, it's given like Ashley and Tyler trying to from Love is Blind trying to make their story a love story too.
So Dr. Pia has a confessional. She was like, infidelity between two couples is unprecedented in MAFS history and it's not condoned. I'm like, just add US to it because this
That's
is
what I was
just
thinking.
breakfast in Australia. At some point,
Yeah.
they let the cheating people continue as a couple. They had one couple ask and they were like, no, because that means we're condoning. But then another one, I don't know why they said yes, but they went ahead with it. So they said they want to find out how serious, Dr. Pierce says they want to find out how serious this relationship is. Dr. Pepper says that they are personally upset and it's important to get the truth and start on how it started, where it started, what happened, and then they start their planned story. We're on the treadmill, yada, yada, yada. Our marriages were miserable. And she's not saying that they've only had a relationship in the gym. And Pastor Kyle was like, have you been intimate with each other? David's like, no.
The way Pastor Kyle like just ignored everything that he said. I just said, so have you been intimate? Crack up so much. Like, yeah, whatever. Did you sleep with her? That's the vibe that it gave.
So David was like, I mean, because he said no, and then he should have shut up. Because if you notice, Madison isn't talking. But no, David has to keep going. I was like, I mean, do you consider a hug intimate? Don't be like obtuse. Like, you know exactly what it is that they mean.
Yep.
So Pascal was like, so you're telling me that the most you guys have done is a hug. And Dr. Pepper was like, if that's the case, how can you send a text about eating her up? That's the part that gets me. Like, Dr. Pepper is talking about eating her up. He says, I mean, I'm a man. I'm a man and I have needs. My needs haven't gotten met. I was just shooting my shot just to see who. Dr. Pepper was like, you're not going to send that to someone who wouldn't like that. That is a text that you send to someone who is going to appreciate what that is. Dr. P is like, I can't sit here and pretend that this is not what it is. I have to call you guys out when you're lying. Pascal is like, so you sent a text. Madison says, I mean, it's not a surprise that we're sexually attracted to each other. I'm like, what has that got to do with that? And then Pascal says, what stopped you from having sex? And Madison says, because we're married. I'm like, okay. Like, yeah, you're right. The delusion was strong. Yep. When you're convinced that whatever you're doing is right, it's kind of crazy. You can't talk sense into them. Pascal says, why should we believe that you're being honest? And David's like, you guys can believe whatever you want.
Slouched in the couch again. The couch is swallowing him per usual because this man cannot sit up.
Pascal says, well, how much of this is rebound based? Is a rebound based on the misery in your respective marriages? And David is like, that's something we need to think about. And Madison was like, that's not what I think about first. And Pascal said that in the interview, they asked Madison if she wanted a person of color. And she specifically said that she only dates white guys and she would prefer to have a Caucasian. And this is the thing about the matchmaking special. I didn't remember this. Again, I watched it and I didn't remember this. And I'm now wondering what I can do to help my memory remember these things. And I remember I had South Jersey Pete the other day and he said like he heard somewhere like after you've gotten to know the couples and you've seen it maybe like 5 episodes in, then you can go back and watch the matchmaking special. And then it kind of sinks in. So I might try that next time. And Pascal is like, if you met David on the street, and you have to think of this in Pascal's voice. And she's like, well, that's not necessarily true. Like, I have dated black guys, but yes, you're right. But with marriage, I would want a white guy. That was problematic for me, Wendy.
How so? Explain.
How so? Like, what do you mean? You can date. It's okay if I date a black guy, but if I'm going to get married to a stranger, then more than likely I would want a white guy. What does that mean? Isn't it the character? Like what are you saying? What are you trying to say, Madison? Like,
see, I've said it. Like, Madison has the emotional depth of a fish. Like, she's just saying whatever. Like. You know what is so crazy about this? If I were David in that moment, I would have felt a way about that. He's also so superficial.
Yes,
that that didn't get through to his head.
Yes,
like, that is insane to me. That he just sat there and took that. Like, that is crazy. In this moment, this was the moment where I realized, like, you know what? These two should be together. And please, all the white ladies that have blonde hair and blue eyes need to be saved
from David. Did he say blue eyes though? Does Madison have blue eyes? I don't think she does.
No, she doesn't.
I think he said blonde hair. I think blonde hair is just the thing that gets him. But that was my other thing. Like, for someone to say that, because I was even asking, I was like, am I doing too much? But I don't know. It just seemed a little, you're good enough to date, but no, not good enough to spend my life.
Yeah, like good enough to sleep with.
And then she said the thing, especially when she said, but if I'm going to marry a stranger, let me have a white guy. Like, it's just like, I would lie. I'll just be like, I want a white guy. I wouldn't even go that far.
Yeah, I mean, like, that is so insane to me. But it also made me look at her like, this girl is unserious because they actually gave you that person.
But I think everyone's been asking if I've seen the picture of her brother-in-law who looks like David's twin.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, there's that. So I have no idea what all of this
She's just about. Here to play. This is the reason why I think they're not going to last. Because in her heart of heart, she really does want a white man. That's what I feel. Honestly. She's just here to, like, play. She's not serious.
To experiment. Yes. But here's my other question. When they were interviewing her, and she was saying the whole thing of like, but if I have to marry a stranger, she said, I've dated all types, but if I'm going to marry a stranger, I would prefer a Caucasian. And Dr. Pepper said, like, yeah, we don't go that far when it comes to marriage for you to now experiment and see if that is what you would like or whatever. Why didn't they do that for Juan and Carla? If Juan said that he's only dated white
Oh
women,
yeah. Why
why
didn't
did you
they?
go that far and then give him someone that's not the usual type that he dates? And you specifically told Madison, oh, we don't go that far for you to experiment. They should have just stuck to it and would have seen what would have happened.
Yeah.
So Pascal says that marriage creates boundaries so that even when you feel something, you stop yourself, you talk to your spouse. Like, did you value the marriage? I was like, what kind of question is that? They don't see it as a marriage. And I think
Yeah.
David said that.
Yeah, he
David
did.
was like, I didn't consider it a marriage because by that logic, every time you're unhappy, it's okay to cheat. Like, even if it's not married at first sight, if you're in a regular I mean, not that people don't use that as an excuse, like, oh, my
Yeah.
wife is, this, my husband is this, and whatever. They do, but that's not how, the rules of marriage work. So,
But this one was even worse because there was a timeline. There was a
Mhm.
period of when this was going to end, and like you guys could not even honor that timeline because in real life relationships, right, where
Yeah,
people say, "Oh, my wife wasn't giving me attention, then I stepped out," blah 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 blah. It's not excusable. Like it's still a shitty excuse, but like you're not going to be like, "Oh, let me just end my marriage so that I can." Like it's not. It's not an easy decision to make to
yeah,
end your marriage because like something shitty is going on within your current marriage. But like you guys literally had an 8 week timeline where you could have ended things and then gone on to date each other. Zach and Bao did it.
yeah. Um, when he said that it wasn't a real marriage or that it was unhappy, he didn't consider it a marriage. Pascal says, like, by your admission or by hers, you guys were turning the corner. I'm like, Pascal,
Please.
go away. They were not turning any corner.
Yeah.
But David starts saying that he has heavy feelings, he has a glow, then he starts his nervous laugh. He was like, can't you see me? Like, I'm just so happy. I'm just, everything he says sounds disingenuous. Like, it just.
He's such a loser too. Like everything has to do with her feeding his ego because he's so fucking insecure about whatever it is that he's dealing with. She talks to me. She like, oh my god, like David. Ew.
So, she says that she can see something between them, and the rebound point of view sucks, but only time will tell. And that's how the episode ends, and we find out that next week is going to be decision day. I don't remember the last time we had a decision day that was episode 17. We're usually like in the 20s, I think. Or maybe I'm wrong. But anyways, anything else you wanted to add that we didn't cover?
No, that was it. I loved this episode. I watched this episode between last night and today. I've watched this episode like 3 times. I
Oh,
really
wow.
enjoyed it. Yes.
Okay. So who has your bouquet?
Okay. Goes to Emem. I'm sorry. That read, whew, I really enjoyed it. It's something that I would do. I just have to give her a pass, just because I've kind of been annoyed by her taking all of Ikechi's shit. So
Mm-hmm.
her doing this finally, I really enjoyed the moment. It wasn't cringy for me. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it thoroughly. A bit much actually. I was like clapping and screaming at the screen. I enjoyed it. Who has yours?
Mine goes to Juan and Carla, more for Carla, because I just
Mm,
enjoyed how Carla stood in business. Like, I can't stand your ass. Like, I don't like you. I don't want to be with you. I was trying to remember if she and David had ever been on after party together, but I don't remember.
yeah,
But I just like that there's just always has to be that balance. Tell the
yeah,
truth, but still not be mean. Like, look at people who did horrible things and she's like, I don't know if I can be friends with you. And she
yeah,
wasn't mean. So Michelle can learn from them on how to speak to people like
yeah,
they're human beings. And then Juan just having that conversation and just even when he said, I didn't know if I wanted to be around you, he threw that
yeah,
in and didn't acknowledge David and his victim statement. So
yeah,
Juan and Carla get my bouquet this week.
yeah.
Who has your ashes?
So I'm not gonna give it to the obvious people because David and Madison should get it, or Ikechi. I'm going to give it to David's friend and Madison's friend because they gave such stupid advice and they were just pointless. They were irritating, most especially Madison's friend. Just stupid, 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 stupid. How about you?
We are aligned. I have Tommy and Amanda, the friends, the people. Like, again, Two dumb broads telling each other exactly, because that was not smart. We just gave Juan and Carla, who've only known them for 8 weeks, and they were able to tell them the truth and still, support them, because they both said, if you want to be happy, Carla said, go live your best life. Juan said, be together and be happy, but do it the right way.
Yeah.
But that, and your friends who've known you for like years are telling you, oh, he's psychotic. Oh, you didn't do anything that, whatever. That one saying, I've not seen you this happy. Are you okay? So, yeah, they get mine. But always a pleasure as usual, Wendy. We'll see what the rest of the season, because we have to see what happens after the season and all that stuff and the reunions. But
yeah,
we still have a couple of more to go. Guys, you know where to find me. It is AltarCall, MAFS, ALTARCALL, MAFS. The handle on Instagram, Twitter, and Blue Sky. If you want to send an email, just add at gmail.com. Like I said, if you want to have conversations on the Patreon, we have a community chat on the MAFS episodes. And looking forward to your comments. I appreciate all the DMs, but let me know when the episode is up, all your thoughts, all your theories, if you want to join us on our podcast psychology also, we'd love to hear all of them. So until the next episode, thanks guys. And please don't forget to give me a 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It really helps. Bye guys.